Welcome to the Corona Cero Post Show here on what has been a magic Sunday afternoon, kicking the event off at 1 o'clock, and the big moments just kept coming as we motored through the quarterfinal for the men. We saw excellence from Yago Dora, mind-blowing performance from him. We're going to be having a close look at that ride, but also Carissa Moore bookending the afternoon with absolute brilliance. A number of excellent rides for her and the kind of form that's seen her take out so many championship tour events and 5 world titles in the past. Ronnie Blakey, Jesse Starling, Richie Lovett. This is what we've been waiting for. Manu Bay really delivered today.
Oh my goodness, did it what? We had our first 10-point ride of the season. Felt really special to have it here at Raglan as well. The first time we've come here ever in championship tour history to Manu Bay, that is. And then to see what Carissa did this afternoon, I was just messaging my dad. I was like, what a privilege. Like, it is just so cool to see someone come back and step into the form that she has been. I'm so inspired by what she's doing.
Yeah, it's remarkable and an inspiration to women around the world and athletes in particular. Celebrating her rides with waves to her daughter there on the beach, it was really remarkable. But the big moment on the men's side in the quarterfinals, Rich, the 10-point ride from Yago Dora, this thing was incredible. A clutch moment too.
I'm just so happy that the judges gave it, and they gave it quickly too, because we all felt it. I was actually in the green room at the time. I saw this thing drop, and Joey and I just said to each other, this has to be a 10. It was undeniable. It was picture perfect. The air was remarkable. He greased it perfectly, and for me, just going straight into that next layback hack, not missing a beat. Yago's corner thought it was a 10. We all thought it was a 10. The crowd thought it was a 10, and I'm just so stoked the judges saw it that way too. Well-deserved 10 for the world champ, and man, he is on fire.
He sure is, yeah, the highest scoring athlete. Big tip of the cap to Cole Houshmand, who had a couple of excellent rides of his own. But Yago just delivered when the pressure was on. He's done it a couple of times this season, but he's also given us the 2 best airs that we've seen this year. The big full rotation on the backhand down at Winky against Medina in the quarterfinals. Massive one here on the forehand. And the landings are just always so silky smooth.
He just is so good at that, and I feel like coming from that free surfing background, Joe and I were talking about it the other day, actually. Not a lot of people have come from a free surfing backhand and then, free surfing background and then still channeled that through competitive side. And Yago is one of those guys who has. And so watching him bring that to the tour and especially bring that to these lefts at Manu Bay, it felt pretty incredible to see that 10, and we all just started screaming at the TV when it happened. We're like, what is going on? So it was one of those moments. I think Joe and I said a million times, how good is professional surfing?
Unbelievable. And it all kind of happened in the space of this afternoon. Obviously, we went on hold to wait for the conditions to improve. There were so many other big stories in the quarterfinals that we're going to get to, but the last heat of the day, it was a big one. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about this new generation, how they're going to fare against the return of the multiple world champions, and Bettylou's probably been the most vocal, so I think Carissa really was up for this heat.
Yeah, if there is ever a reason to fight a little bit harder, it's definitely moments and comments like that. Think about it in any of the sports. Athletes chase those moments, and Carissa Moore used it to her advantage in such fine form. She was dropping a 9-point ride in this heat. She wasn't keeping a 9. She had a 9.2, a 9.8, 19-point heat total, and some of the best backhand surfing, I'm going to say, that I've ever seen from a woman. I mean, just this wave in particular, the 9.8, that third turn, the drift around the corner, and exactly where she's starting her bottom turns from too. It just was mind-boggling of how good that she was surfing this afternoon.
Yeah, it's interesting. We find ourselves saying that a lot this season. Some of the best backhand surfing. It was Nadia Aristabe over there on the Gold Coast, probably going more vert than we've ever seen anyone go before on the backhand. But Carissa, you know, she's just connecting to a bit of that magic mana here in Whangaroa, because every time she's paddled out, the waves have been firing. She's had a number of the longest rides and more excellent scores here than any other competitor in the draw.
Yeah, absolutely. She's had the last heat of the day every time that we've run, and she's been out in a heat. So she's had that late afternoon glass off, which has just suited her surfing to a T. That backhand approach, as you mentioned, where she's just been squaring up and almost manipulating what's happening at the top of the wave, has just been poetry in motion. And to get that moment where she came in with Luke there and Lena on the shore to greet her, I think that's the motivation she needed. That's what she said she's doing this for. So dreams are coming true right now in front of us.
Also got the old man Chris out here watching those performances unfold. It's been a really great thing. We want to feel the magic, the glow from Carissa Moore right now. We're going to throw it down to True Starling.
There's lots of magic down here, Ronnie. Carissa, I feel like that's the best backhand surfing Raglan has ever seen. Firstly, on behalf of all of New Zealand and probably everyone watching, thanks for coming back on tour.
Oh, thank you. I just, that was way too much fun. Like we were saying before we went on air, I think it's going to be one of those heats that I look back and I cherish for the rest of my life.
On a couple of those nines, you know, you just looked like you were so in form, and one of them you got to wave to your daughter as well. Talk to me about how special that was to share that experience with her.
Oh my gosh, I mean, it's the best ever. I'm literally living my dream. I've always wanted to have my family and have my daughter on the beach and like waving at me and clapping, and learning how to clap for me is the coolest thing, and really that is the win.
You've had 7 excellent scores this whole event. 3 of those were in that last heat. You've also got the 3 top highest waves, heat totals, of the whole event as well. 19 points in that last one against Bettylou too, who, you know, made a bit of a call out with the veterans earlier on, and Steph got her and Snapper, and you've got her here in Raglan.
You know, she's the firecracker, and she has a huge talent, and she knows how to compete really well, and so I knew I had my work cut out for me. I respect her a lot, and I knew I couldn't take her lightly, and what I love about, you know, coming up against her is I really feel like we bring out the best in each other.
It's really cool to see you push everyone else and push yourself, and coming back on tour in a different light too, but there's one more heat to go, 2 more waves left.
I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm into the finals day and in the finals with Sawyer. It's going to be a great battle. Hopefully we just keep getting waves and we can put on a good show. This is like so cool.
We're excited to see it, Riz. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, True. Great job. And Carissa, as graceful and grateful as she always is. Remember, she was a young championship tour competitor, full-time championship tour competitor when she came here, won a CT event in Taranaki, gifted the prize money to the local board riders club.
Oh, what?
All of it. And I think it's just helped her create a magic kind of relationship with this country, and it's taken her all the way to the final here. She'll be taking on Sawyer Lindblad. What a heat that is. Sawyer, as the lone goof left on the women's side of the draw, is just looking so deadly and really is poised to take her first championship tour win here.
There's potential for her to get her first ever maiden victory. Carissa is looking in such good form, and definitely the best goofy footer and the best natural footer that we've seen all event long. Their score lines really reflect that too. Sawyer's been getting moments on her waves and acceleration on her waves that I don't think anyone else is on their front side. So I'm not surprised that she's in the final, and I think, yeah, she's going to be a really good challenge for Carissa Moore.
Yeah, the challenge is going to be matching that vertical approach of Carissa, Rich. We were watching her really closely through that last semi-final heat. She just seems to turn her shoulders and open those wings up and really get a nice vertical hit. And Sawyer, on the other hand, had some good pocket hits as well, but has really been collecting great momentum down the line with those big carving turns.
Yeah, she's, well, you saw in the semi-finals against Alyssa Spencer, she in the end kind of outpowered her, and that's the cuts were a little deeper on the face, and that's where she's going to have to really lean into. She's also going to have to somehow square up on that forehand, maybe try something a little different, maybe go to that big forehand layback hack and really mix things up, because that squared up approach on the backhand of Carissa Moore is going to be hard to beat, especially if conditions are like they are. But you wonder whether, you know, Carissa's used all her coins for the jukebox and there's any left. You know, she's going to have to, it's going to be a different time of the day when she's competing in the morning. Potentially, versus these perfect afternoon heats that she's gotten so far. It's
also just the psychology of getting to this point of the heat, and Carissa has been in this position so many times, closed out more CT events than everyone on tour other than Steph Gilmore. So Sawyer, looking for a first win, has to deal with that kind of emotion as well. But like we said, she's been surfing brilliant, so it's going to be a fun heat. On the men's side, Yago Dora, much like Carissa Moore, has the highest heat score totals. He's had the biggest moments, and he is the man to beat as we head into finals day. And he is just looking so deadly, and it sort of doesn't seem to matter where he's at in the heat. If there's time on the clock and he's not comboed, he's probably going to turn the heat around.
You just can never feel safe with Yago Dora as your competitor, especially on his front side. He's really proven that he can do exactly what we're blown away with by all those natural footers. Think Felipe over at the Gold Coast and what he's done. John Florence as well. Yago matching that on his front side. And you know what? A worthy competitor for Cole Houshmand and such an incredible sportsman. He put up an incredible fight, and I think if Cole didn't push as hard as he did in this heat and put the pressure on Yago quite like he did, we may not have even seen that 10-point ride. So bringing out the best of Yago here.
The amazing thing about the Brazilian World Champions, Rich, is the gears that they have. Yago on his first ride surfed really well and still got a pretty decent score, but it was kind of a little sleepier, his rhythm. He was almost sort of pacing himself, waiting to see what Cole Houshmand would throw at him. I don't think he expected Cole to drop 2 8.5s and outpower him in those opening stages of the heat.
I totally agree with you. I mean, Yago's whole approach to this event has been fairly measured. His whole approach to 2026 has been somewhat measured. But as you referenced earlier on, he's brought out these big moments, these standout kind of movie moments. One at Bells and now one at here at Raglan. And the surfing is just, it's indicative of a world champion. It's world championship performance, and he's laying it down here. And this is what they do. They find it, they rise to that occasion under pressure. And they deliver. I mean, this is the final minute of this heat, and he just got it done. It was incredible.
Yeah, and he didn't let up. I mean, I felt like after this turn, it was a 10-point ride, but he still just kept those rails sharp, cut him deep into the face of the wall here at Manu Bay to make it a done deal and earn his place in the semis.
Yeah, great to see Cole come to life and really put some good numbers on the board as well. Coming off a trip 17th into this year's been kind of punishing for him, but there was really nothing he could do here. He just got out-surfed, but a huge heat total himself at 17 points.
Yeah, I thought it was a great performance from Cole. I think he's turned a corner here, and he proved last year that even though the Aussie leg can be difficult for him sometimes, it's given him some of the moments of his career, obviously a win at Bells, but last year the same thing, 3 17ths through those 3 events. So he's back on track, quarterfinal finish here, and heading over to El Salvador where his big backhand will come into play, no doubt. Another big clash that we were looking forward to in the quarterfinals, Griffin Colapinto, Felipe Toledo, and we kind of had the feeling it was going to be an interesting one for Felipe to see if he went to that unique equipment choice. And I really feel like, Richard, it kind of made the difference in this heat.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild one. There was a lot of wind still. And this was the opening quarterfinal for the day. And Griff just looked so connected. And I referenced his performance at Cloudbreak in Fiji last year. And the last couple of years, his backhand has just looked so on point. And to me, one of the best hand, if not the best backhand surfer on the men's side of the tour at the moment. His ability, again, to manipulate and just drift the board, but be in total control in the lip is something to really admire.
Best backhand amongst the regular footers.
Yeah, that's what. Yes, good point. Well,
I think he's got to reach another level to match it with some of those other big dogs. But he's definitely got the smoothest flow on his backhand. And here at Manu Bay on the backhand, no one set their fins higher above the lip than Griffin Colapinto in these tricky, windy conditions.
This was always going to be a great matchup as well, but it felt like that Felipe at the start had a couple equipment issues. We weren't sure if he made the right choice. Came through at the end and really did fight for it. He had a couple excellent scores himself, but Griff just navigated, like you were talking about, Ronnie, these bumps so perfectly. That's that drift, exactly what you were talking about. Fins free out the back, and now he's taken yet another heat win off Felipe Toledo. So he's got the edge by 2 heats in head-to-head matchups. And going into it, honestly, I personally gave Felipe the nod. I was thinking, there's no way anyone's going to come near Felipe, but Griffin, so convincing in that, and he's a worthy semi-final contestant.
Well, Felipe was coming back because he had a kind of shocker opening start to that quarter, but then he came back strong and basically just ran out of time, really. I actually applaud him for making his equipment choice the way he did through this event. I think he's maybe got a few people going back to the drawing board and just thinking about, hang on a minute, at waves like this, what's possible? And maybe it's a board in between a shorty and what he rode. That might be the sweet spot.
Yeah, well, still an impressive heat score total and always fighting to the final stages. But Griffin Colapinto getting it done and getting himself into the semi-finals. I think when we see the Corona Cero New Zealand Pro Finals bracket here, you know, there's some clear favourites in both semi-finals just based on the performances we saw here today in the quarters.
Oh, absolutely. If you look to semi-final number 2, I think a lot of people want to see Yago get into that final just with that 10-point ride, but Bettylou channeled that and dropped a 9-point ride in his quarterfinal against Miguel Pupo. So I hope that we get a full air show between those two tomorrow and we get plenty more full rotations on these fun left-handers.
That's one of the best quarterfinal brackets I've ever seen go down on the men's side in an event. Just every heat pumped for waves and both competitors were on fire. It was so entertaining.
Well, let's have a look at the Surfline forecast and when we can start making some predictions on what we think is going to unfold in the men's semis and the women's final. And yeah, it really came on this afternoon. A really smart choice to wait for that swell to arrive.
We knew it was coming. We've been watching the charts and Surfline has been telling us it's on the way. These kind of red, orange, purple blobs that are tracking across the bottom of Australia, moving up between Australia and New Zealand. And they've finally reached us here at Raglan on the west coast of the North Island. And you saw it. There was more energy in it this afternoon. That high tide was pulling it in and there was just a bit more space between the sets. And when they came, they had more power. So tomorrow's looking great in the morning. It's going to peak overnight and tomorrow morning, and then it'll start tapering off in the afternoon. So it'll really be all about the wind. And I think we're going to come down nice and early and check things out. It's shaping up well. And looks like the wind, even from this morning to what I had a look at this afternoon, it looks like it's been downgraded a little bit. So fingers crossed we don't have that devil wind when we rock up in the morning. Yeah,
it's looking good out there at the moment, and the locals pounced on it to get their opportunity because it's been a pretty wave-starved couple of weeks, but some beautiful rides coming through, and we're really hoping that it sticks around for tomorrow morning because we've got amazing semi-finals on the men's side, incredible women's final already set up. It's going to be awesome to see, but let's dive into some highlights because there is plenty of them. Let's start with the top 5 coming in 5th position. Griffin Colapinto taking on Felipe Toledo, and Griff, he's been searching for a big finish in the opening stages of the season. Felipe was on fire on the Gold Coast. He carried that form here, and he had some seriously good turns in this heat as well.
Felipe, once he found his rhythm, was looking pretty dominant. He actually had the highest wave score in this heat, and it came down to the final wave. But Griffin put on so much pressure that he still needed excellence even after getting that. Griffin just with a lot of variety, which I feel like is hard to get on your backhand, especially when it was so windy and you have to navigate, chop up the face. So the fact that he was drifting his tail around so much, giving us calves or just punching it nice and vertical in the pocket, Griffin's looking so ready to take on Morgan Siblick in the semi-final.
Then we got into quarterfinal number 2. It was a good one. These guys both have brilliant backhands. Rio, his wave selection was on point, and Morgan Siblick seemed to be having a bit of a shocker, Rich.
Yeah, he kind of was having a shocker, made a few bad errors. He actually gave Rio one of his best rides, so just a momentary lapse of concentration there for Morgan, and he's done that in the past, so still a few things to clean up. But then he got this gem right in the final moments of the heat. He needed a score, and under pressure, the little Aussie fella, he produced, just hammering this thing down the line. And to actually stand up in this moment and to produce that kind of surfing under pressure is sort of testament to where his head's at now. That confidence and that the ability to surf at that level that he's been working on since sort of dropping off the tour, it's finally back and we're seeing it.
Still sort of searching for that freedom, though, in the jersey. Let's see if he can find it against Griffin Colapinto. Number 3, Bettylou takes flight. We knew it was going to happen after he watched his good mate drop a 10-point ride.
My goodness, so inspired by Yago Dora. Just such a clean, full rotation, and then also went crazy afterwards. So really inspired by Yago. But I just love the fact that he's also giving us variety on this, dropping that backhand back, pushing that back foot around, laying into these turns. And you can see he's been putting a lot of time into his rail work in the off-season as well. So Bettylou, he's looking pretty great.
Sharpening up, coming in at number 2. Just by far the highest scoring surfer on the women's side. She owns the top 5 wave scores. She's got a number of the top heat scores. And she had just a magic time out here. The sets just kept coming to her. She's been a magnet through this event.
Just been unbelievable watching Riss in the final heats of this event. She keeps lucking into perfect conditions, but she's been producing. And we keep saying it's inspirational performances that she's laying down here in front of her husband and a little baby, which is awesome. And, you know, she's, again, the form, this is vintage Carissa Moore, like when she was winning world titles. So, you know, to me, she's in that conversation now. Although the results have been a little slow to come in 2026, you can see she's elated to make this final. Matt Biolis, 2 women in the final. Looking good.
And got Yago Dora on the men's side, powering as well. And he comes in at number 1 today for this. A 10-point ride. The landing was absolutely dreamy, and he just went straight into that next big hit.
Just like butter. It was just so clean, not a foot out of place, and then to combo it up with that layback as well. Just even the quick finite feet shuffle to get himself up into the lip and then continue on down the line here. The beach really did go crazy. And you know what? Hats off to the Brazilian fans. They show up in flocks everywhere we go, every stop on the tour, and they were crazy on the rocks today. So Leandro da Silva, he loved it as well, and I'm so stoked that we finally have a 10-point ride this season. I'm ecstatic.
Okay, we're heading for the last day of the event window, so it was an easy call. Finals day tomorrow. Yellow alert is on the Corona Cero New Zealand Pro, presented by Bonsoy. Champions will be crowned, and the lineups are incredible. Sawyer Lindblad chasing that first victory against Carissa Moore, who's looking to get her world title campaign back on track. Looking at the forecast, Jessie, what are your thoughts on what's going to go down there?
It's going to be really interesting. There's going to be wind. We know that already. It's going to be similar to what we saw in the replays of Griffin, maybe a little bit more wind. That's going to be factored in for majority of the day tomorrow. If I was in that heat, I feel like Sawyer probably has the advantage to navigate that on her front side, and she's got that little extra pizzazz out of her calves right now, but my heart really wants Carissa Moore to win, so I feel like she's going to put up an incredible performance, and Sawyer being the underdog in that, she's really going to have to block out the noise and just focus on the job at hand, which is winning her first ever CT. We
touched on it before, Rick. The numbers from Carissa have been so strong in every heat that she's surfed so far, but she's also enjoyed the best conditions each day that we've run the competition. Probably had better waves than any of the competitors in the field.
Yeah, totally. So again, you know, it's possibly going to be a different time when she hits the water tomorrow, which is going to be a bit of a challenge for her. But I think she's that good. She's in that good a form. I kind of echo your sentiments here. I think she's going to be really, really tough to beat. I think she'll get the win and come right into that world title conversation. On the men's side, I kind of feel like the Brazilian showmen at the bottom of the table are going to really produce something special on the forehand.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're really great matchups. Morgan Sibley, he dropped an 8-point ride at the end of his heat to save his place in those semi-finals. But Griffin has kind of looked a little freer in his approach out there. Oh, for sure. Griffin also looks really creative. I think he's pushing himself to be more creative as well, so that's adding to his performances. And I mentioned it in that heat with Felipe and Griffin, they're such entertainers. So Griffin, you could see, is really pushing to entertain more, where Morgs is still figuring out what his recipe is being back on the championship tour. But the Aussie and me can't help but want to see Morgs lift the trophy above his head. So come on, Morgs. I think Morgan's looked like in his head at different stages throughout all the championship tour events. Kind of found that mongrel that got him some big finishes on the CT in his rookie year. But even in that heat, it wasn't until the heat was almost lost and he had to go at it that he gave us his best surfing and showed us how strong that backhand is. So if he can just get out of his head and give us those kind of moves, those big backhand hits, he could be a handful for Griff. Yeah, he really could. It's almost up to Hogg to kind of put that pressure on him from the start of the heat and just get him all fired up and ready to go. But again, we haven't seen a lot of backhand surfers go to the air out here yet. Because it has been challenging, and I just feel like the Brazilian boys on the front side, they're showing this air game that is really hard to compete with. So I think on that top side of the draw, the boys are going to have to square up, do what they do really well on the backhand, but they're also going to have to find a way to get in the air. Yeah, the heat with Yago and Italo, 2 world champions, meeting in the semi-final, both chasing their first victory for the season, and both at different stages of this year have looked like they're world title contenders, but they're kind of trying to get to that #1 position. Yago's got a good opportunity now with Miggy out of the event too, so bring it on. Let's do it. All right, well, we'll be making the call bright and early, 7:15 for a possible 7:35 a.m. start. You've got so many highlights here to enjoy from a short afternoon of surfing. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Corona Cero New Zealand Pro presented by Bonsoy. It's finals day tomorrow. We'll see you then.
You fell asleep, spiraled even deeper, woke up in a living nightmare. Stepped into a new dimension, no direction, never said I'd fight fair. I got the fire! Anxiety, a higher frequency comes at the sight of me. I slide into the room, I come in quietly, 'cause I'm the king, the one that they all wanna be. They envy me. Snake eyes, I see in the dark, I see behind their smile.